Good day to you guys. Today's video, I will say you probably get a few inconsistencies, mainly because it's a beautiful day out here today, and we seem to have the whole entire motorcycle fraternity going in and out of our village. Our village has got one pub, it's got a church, and it's got a lot of grass. I don't understand why they all come through here. There's nothing for anybody, but they use it as a lot of cut through. Anyway, so because of all the noise, I'm going to have to keep stopping and starting anyway. So there's going to be a few inconsistencies, probably with the light, because I'll probably have to do the painting part of it a bit later on. So, you know, so you'll probably will see a difference in the light. You might not, I don't know, I might be just telling you something that you won't even notice. Anyway, today, I did a painting the other week of a glass bottle, and I did mention in one of my other videos that I'm not happy with the way the paint has sunk into the board. This is the painting. Anyway, I took a photo of it, and the photo came out okay. And since I've taken the photo, it's the colour's really sunken into this board. So as I say, I'm going to be retouching it up. I'm going to try to get it to be as good as what the print is. I quite like the print that I've done, which you'll see in a minute anyway. But that's what today's video is all about. So I hope you stick around. I hope you don't hear too many noises. You probably will hear the dogs. You probably will hear the chickens. You'll probably hear the wife shouting at the dogs. And you'll probably hear the dogs shouting at people walking past going to the pub. But that's all in all the other videos anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, I'm back in here. I did have to go away. It got a little bit too much, so I gave up. Thought I'd come back. Anyway, here's the print that I've done, and I quite like that. The colours and all the contrasts are really good. Here's my painting, so you can see them together. You can see how much all the paint has sunk into the board, so I really need to zhoosh this up a little bit. I've got the bottle on my little still life setup there, just as a little bit of a reference again anyway. And down here I've already pre-mixed my colours, so I haven't got to waste any more time. Anyway, let's get to it. I'll probably do a bit of a talk over, because whilst I'm painting, sometimes I just can't concentrate on what I'm doing and talk at the same time. I'm a bloke, so you know, that's what we do. We're not very good at multitasking, so I'll probably will go quiet at times, but I'll fill that in with a little bit of talky a bit later. I've started with the lighter values, as all I'm trying to do is get a bit more contrast going on, where it's all sunken in and turned a little bit too bluey and very sullen. Hopefully this will enhance where the darker values need to go a little bit later. I will be speeding up the process as we go, slowing it down, speeding it up, depending whether I've already done some talking whilst I've been painting actually. This whole retouch only took about half an hour at most anyway, so makes it a nice short video. I'm only going over it quite lightly because I want to have some of the underneath poking through, because it was the initial painting. So I'm just going very lightly, just putting something on top. But hopefully this won't sink in, so we'll see what happens. I'm adding a bit of orangey pink mixture on here just to add a bit of a complementary colour touch. I found that when I'm using daylight bulbs in my studio, I seem to end up with a very blue type painting. I don't know what's going on there. I really need to keep that in mind. For quite some time I've not had really a direction of where I am with my art, because if you have had a look at my website or seen some of my other videos, you'll notice that I don't really stick to one thing. The one thing that's, you know, seems to be coming along and sticking with me, and I'm doing more and more of, is still lifes. I used to like to do a bit of plein air painting, but I really don't like country. I do like the countryside. I don't like painting the countryside. I don't know whether it even makes sense, but you know, it's just getting out there and painting all those greens. I love to paint trees. Trees I love. You know, I could sit there and paint and study trees all day long. It's just getting out in the countryside and painting. Although I live in the countryside, of course, but painting it, I admire these people that can do a really good job of it. I just don't seem to be able to. So because that's the direction I wanted to go into, and I couldn't really do it, you know, I've been a little bit stuck in my thoughts on what to be as a painter, whether I should be anything. I mean, this is a whole question that we all ask really when we're artists and, you know, painters and that, is what do we want to be? And I think just lately what's been going on with a lot of my art is a couple of years ago I did some ink drawings of birds, and I've just been playing about with some of the prints of those. I've been putting gold flake on. I've been quite enjoying that, and of course all of these, you know, like sorry, all the still lifes that I've been doing just of late. So I think I'm focusing myself onto sticking to still lives and maybe getting into more birds and doing a few more of those type of ink drawings and paintings, and maybe with charcoal and pastel, because I do love my pastel. It's one of my favourite mediums. You know, it'd be pastel and then oil, to tell the truth. But yeah, we'll need to find something, I think, and it's taken me years and years to try to communicate that with myself, where I want to go, what I want to do. So, but I think that's where it is actually. Just creeps up on you. So if you're going through the same struggle yourself, don't sweat it. It you know, whatever it is that you're looking for, it will come along. But it does take a long time sometimes. Here I've started to bung in a few of the darks. A lot of the time when drawing painting glass, it's hard to make it look transparent. And as I've got here a shadow behind on the wall showing through the bottle, it's hard to make it look like just not another bottle behind what you're painting. What you have to remember is, even on the wall, if there's light hitting the bottle, it's going to be hitting the wall as well. And also you will get the highlights, although in a different area, where the refraction of the light hitting the bottle, then hitting the back of the bottle and then hitting the wall. You've got to remember that sort of thing sometimes, and just keep a good eye open on it. So the trick with glass is, if there's something solid behind it, paint that thing as solid as it would be, maybe having a few wobbles and a few diffractions and whatnot behind there. But when you actually draw in the glass bottle or jar or whatever it is you're painting as glass, don't actually paint that item, but paint only the highlights and a few dark areas and the area around it. And in that way, if you're not actually painting the glass, it will look like glass. In my brain, that sounded like good advice, but also confusing. So I hope it wasn't. So basically, when you're painting glass, you're painting the reflections and the shadows around it, not the actual glass. Seems a bit early to be putting any highlights in, but it's a way to get, there goes the dogs again. It's a way to get the tones in that you need. I'm using the same brush all the way through, not really cleaning it, just adding on, gives it a bit of unity that way. The paintbrush is a Princeton polytip bristle, angled bright, a size 6. I really am enjoying the Princeton brushes. They're becoming some of my favourites. for this white I'm using. It's a Winsor & Newton white. I must have had this tube for over 10 years, and it really does tell, because it's really hard work. But I'm such a skinflint, I really don't want to just get rid of it just because it's old. I've got a bit of blue tack behind it. I'll hold it up here. I should really use a clamp or something, but hey ho. I've only been using a few colours for this so far. I've used all Jackson's paints apart from the white, but they're the Cad Red, Cerulean Blue, Ultramarine Blue and Naples Yellow. And as I'll say, it's an old tube of Winsor & Newton titanium white, which is getting very, very stiff. I'm not mixing it with anything. I'm not dipping the paintbrush into anything to clean off in between brush strokes. So I'm just wiping it on a cloth and just letting the paint mix in with itself. So it gives it a bit more of a unity to the whole painting in that way. I think I've got the shadow more or less there where it is at the moment. So I'm just going around doing a few bits on the edges, doing a few highlights here and there just to establish the shape of the bottle, and then resculpting the bottle with taking away and adding into the background and into the shadow. It is basically sculpting with paint. That's all you need to do. Taking a step back and squinting is another thing I can't really recommend enough. Once you squint at a painting, you've heard it all before in lots of other videos, but when you stand back and actually squint at a painting, you can see the contrast and you can see the values a lot better. So if you wear glasses like myself sometimes, just take them off whilst you're painting. You haven't got to see what you're doing. You really haven't. And you can put them on at the end if you like to see where you might be able to add a few bits. But generally I don't actually wear glasses whilst I'm painting. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong, I don't know. What I was talking about earlier on about trying to find your style and trying to find your way in art, it is a long process. And what you seem to do, what I've done anyway, is I've studied lots of artists, and I love lots of different artists. I mean, I love Lucian Freud, I love Edward Seago, I love John Bratby, Degas, and all the usual, I love all of that sort of painting. I'm not so keen on the pre-Raphaelites and all of that, but I think if you've got a certain type of painter that you like, you will tend to go towards that way of painting, I believe. So if there are painters that you enjoy, just keep looking at their stuff and try to find other painters that paint in a similar way, maybe not even the same way, but maybe slightly similar way, and it really does help in the long run. It really, really does help. So read up, get as many books out of the library, or even buy the books and see what really tickles your fancy, what really grabs hold of you, because that is the way that you will go in the end anyway. I was talking about people and artists that you'd like to look up. There's a few books that I would recommend people having a look at. Only this is just a personal taste really. There's a beautiful book called The Art of Still Life by a guy called Todd M. Casey. It's a fantastic book. There's another book called Blue and Yellow, Don't Make Green, which is really fascinating book to read. It's quite scientific. It goes into the reasonings of why just blue and yellow doesn't make a green. I know it does, but in a way this book tells you why it doesn't, and it's fascinating. It tells you all about the science behind it all. It's great. Can't recommend that one enough. Anything by Lucian Freud, or not by Lucian Freud, but anything about Lucian Freud that's got any of his paintings in, well worth just sitting down and studying. Anything by Peter Brown. Peter Brown is a street artist. Well, I say street artist, he's a plein air painter, and he's mainly in Bath and does London and all that lot. Just looking at all these guys' brush strokes, especially up close, you'd think it was just a pile of mess, but when you stand back, it just makes something so gorgeous. So that's what we need to strive for when we're painting. Don't think that you've got to get a perfect brush stroke every single time your paintbrush hits the canvas or the paper or whatever you're painting on. Make a mess. That's a really good bit of advice, is make a mess. Don't worry about whether it's looking beautiful. Every single painting, even by some of the top artists, they go through a really awful looking stage, and yours will, mine do. Mine go through an awful looking stage right from the beginning right through to the end, and it doesn't put me off at all. So please don't sort of like think you've got to have a perfect painting every single time, because it ain't ever going to happen, really. Let's be honest with ourselves. And that's what makes painting really worth doing, because it's not an easy thing. I mean, when people say, "Oh, you've got such talent," or oh, you must have been born like it. It's like, no, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of swearing at your own paintings. It's a lot of throwing them out and thinking to yourself, I am such a fraud. But that's the beauty of it. That's why we enjoy it. Sure, it's the frustration we enjoy. If it was easy, it wouldn't be enjoyable. It's that simple. Well, there we have it. That's all I can do. It's just a quick little tidy up, really, just to get some contrasts in and a little bit more colour, because it was just went very blue, went very dull and very there. So tucked a bit of contrast on there. It's only a quick study. Had the bottle behind me, didn't help whatsoever anyway because of different lighting, but it was there as a reference. So I just played really, and I kept stepping back and looking at it through the monitor. You get a better view from that. It's like another set of eyes, and it looks like glass to me. Whether it does to you or not, I don't know. Hit that like, because apparently YouTube algorithms like that. I don't know. I don't understand. I like it anyway. But yeah, it's not bad. If you think it's crap, just tell me. If you think it's okay, tell me. If it looks like glass, tell me. Just put a comment in. I'd like to get a few comments. That'd be great. See you in the next one, hopefully. See you later, chaps. Bye bye.